There we go. All right, so you know, the points are only going to be on those particular points whenever you reset them. All right, so make sense? So you can put them back exactly where you found them if you want. So for instance, what I just did was I made that up to 50% in linear because I took the points out. It was real easy. And then if you wanted to, you could put the points back, which would allow you to tweak a little bit if you wanted to, you know, something like that. All right. Anyway, hope that makes sense. That's how you add and remove points. All right, so the next thing in this menu is the exponential. So let's say, as you see, I've got a kind of a weird pitch curve here, and it's kind of slow and then ramps up. Well, if you'll notice, they're very sharp related points. By turning Expo on, what it'll do is it'll blend the curve. It'll actually put a more, you know, before I had these straight lines, it actually puts in a little bit of an exponential arc to the curve. All right, so that'll smooth out transitions between the 7 points of the curve. Again, if I remove these points, however, you'll see that okay, so before on the 50, I'm sorry, let me reset here. Let me get this back to 50. I'm not going to mess with it. Hold on. Let me just get this back to 50. Because I've turned all this stuff on. Let me turn off Expo. So let me put the 50 point back in. 54. Alright. Reset this one. Reset this one. Bear with me. Matter of fact, I'm just going to turn them off. So before, as you saw, if I wanted to reduce pitch, I went up like this, right? Well, what it did was it kind of made this line, right? So it's making this abrupt line. If I then turn on Expo, notice how it curved it out. It put an exponential type of curve here. So, you know, if I wasn't able to remove those points, I'd have to kind of do a little bit of math to go 40, 42 and a half, you know, whatever, to try and make a nice gradual curve. Whereas eliminating those points, if I want a gradual curve instead of a straight linear line to these 2 points, I can turn exponential on and it'll automatically build me a little ramp up curve. That's what exponential does. All right, let's see. Anything else here? So we got, oh yeah, acceleration. So let me turn exponential off. And actually, I haven't played with this a whole lot. And it's a little odd. But let's say I've got some points like this. And if you'll notice, I've got a long gap from here and a short gap to here. Well, I can turn on an acceleration amount. I could say, this is how fast I want the servo to accelerate between these points. All right? Does that make sense? So it's kind of like when I talked about delay or acceleration in the condition menu on how fast you want the servo to move when going from one condition to another. This is how fast you want the servo to move, or the thing to move between the 2 points. Hope that makes sense, or between the points. Hopes that makes sense. So you can add an acceleration here between those points as you move through the stick movement. I don't know what that would be used for, honestly. I'd have to play with it more to see what I don't understand yet is how much value does what between these points, and whether it's really noticeable or not. I'd have to play with it. Again, I don't see a use for it myself. You know, it might be good for airplane guys or something. Let me see, inhibit. Bear with here. I'm going to just reset all this stuff. Reset. Never mind. My brain went numb. There is no inhibit. 0 just means there's no acceleration throughout the points. All right, so I've added my points back and we've reset. So once again, for my normal pitch curve, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn off these points. All right, I don't care about the other ones. I'm not going to change them. And, you know, I just want to reduce my pitch. All right, so that's basically it. That's how the curves work. Don't worry about switches here. Turn on Expo if you want. You can see how it makes the curve change. See that? Acceleration, again, I wouldn't mess with that. I'm going to play with that more to see exactly what it does. But then finally, don't forget, combine versus separate. So I've set up my normal curve. I go into idle 1. It's like this. Let's say for some reason, and let me put that point back. For some reason, I want to change my idle up pitch curve. If I do, just want to reiterate, if I do, it's connected to idle 2 and hold. All right, notice it doesn't change. Normal puts me back to normal. So don't forget that separate thing based on what you want to do. All right. Okay, so now let's go. That was pitch curves. Throttle curves work identically the same. Activate it. It's all the same stuff. You can see all the points through the curve. So a prime example here is my normal throttle curve. Let's say I'm flying an electric and I want to ramp up a little bit. First off, let's separate it. All right, I'm going to remove these points. All right, and let's say I want to do like in my Throttle Curves 101 for an electric heli, let's say I want 0, 80, 90, 100. Well, what I could do is just come down here to this middle point and ramp that up to 80. Okay, there's 80, and of course about in the middle should be about 90. The only way to, it doesn't show you your in out, so the only way is to put a point there and see where it is. So there's 86, put the point back here, there's 93, and it kind of made it linear for you automatically. So I'm ramping up. Let's say I want to ramp up a little faster. What I could do is add this point back and increase my curve a little bit, all right, and put this point back and increase my curve a little bit. So there, now I've got a faster ramp up, and let me reset this one back to where it was. And there, now I've got a faster ramp up like an electric would have for my normal throttle curve. As you see, I'm in normal. Well, when I go to idle up, okay, because I separated it, I'm now back to a linear curve. I need to set up my idle up 1 curve. So let's say you want the standard V, all right? You don't want some elaborate point system. I could just go here, move the stick to this point, and I'm just going to show you. I'm going to remove that point, I'm going to remove that point, I'm going to remove that point, and I'm going to remove that point. All right, and then now I'm leaving this combined with idle 2 because I'm going to show you a little tip here in a minute. So then I go down to my first point and I bring it up to the 100%. There's your standard idle up curve. And let's say my middle point's a little low and I want to bring that up to say 80. You know, if this is a nitro or something, you know. So there's kind of my curve. If I wanted to make that more U-shaped, I simply add back those points. And let me add this one back, and I can bring them down a little bit to give me a little bit of a U shape. Okay,